Hey guys, welcome back to Esta's route. But today, we finally start his best ending. So I'm so excited after what we saw in the neutral end, how this is gonna go. So as I mentioned before, I started a new game. I'm following a bit of a walkthrough until I get to whatever this branch is for his best end, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And along the way, everything up to this point are choices that I've made before. But I've never done this. I don't know if it actually influences anything or not, but it's on the list of choices to do, and I haven't done it yet. So I'm gonna start here and we'll see what happens. That's a Toya. Okay, walkthrough, I see your bias. It can't be helped. It's a no-brainer that a place where you can find peace will always be preferable to being in the unforeseen darkness. Right, this was about like how the women are acclimating quite easily. But falling in love with them makes them no longer the enemy. It may be painful to think of an enemy you've never seen before as a husband, but if it's a man you've talked to several times, even still, one who has been passionately pursuing you, a bond might be formed. You know? I'm just saying it could happen. Shalu complains that these women are changing their colors too quickly, but life is something that everyone is free to decide for themselves. Why blame her for flirting with a Nasla man? I do agree that 3 days is a little too fast for a woman to fall for a Nasla man. But really, our numbers thinning is only a matter of time. Naala is very pragmatic. Naala, are you gonna sit there and just let this happen? I've got mixed feelings about it, but I can't stop her if that's what she wants to do. I'm completely against it. I'll never become someone's object. Yeah. I agreed with her, but internally I looked off into the distance, dispirited. Alright, are we back? Yeah, now we're back again. Cool. Alright, well, I'll bring you guys in if a new choice appears or something changes. Okay, we have another choice here that we haven't done yet. Probably another Toya up, but I'm wondering if maybe the branch with Esta is dependent on us not ending up with Noel now. If we're taking choices that are like Toya focused to get to Esta's best end, maybe we need to stay away from Noel. But then now I'm curious how we're actually going to meet Esta under these circumstances. So anyway, guess we're going to find out. Is Toya really concerned about her? There we go. Is he really concerned about her? If it was an insincere apology, I could have cursed him out easily. But his face really did seem sincere in his apology, making me feel a strange sympathy for him. I know that's not quite right, but Toya's eyes looked like they were crying, and I couldn't bring myself to verbally abuse him. Alright. And then I think we're gonna meet the doctor, and this is another option that's different. I don't think this one did, like, anything for us. Now the walkthrough wants me to do nice to meet you. Do I get an up with you? I'm so curious about the differences between, nice to meet you, and just nice to meet you. Okay, no up again, but just that one specifically. Kai. Nice to meet you. Is she the patient? Okay, so we just like skipped the whole like, you're not like a Nasla man, what the heck? What is next? I think it's when we do the drinking with Toya. Yeah, it is. And I can't remember if I've done this choice before or not. I have! Hey, nice. Okay, so it should be like sometime after this? No, we haven't done the market. Maybe it'll be at the market when I see you guys. I don't know, but I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Okay, I called it. It is at the market, but I didn't get to the choice yet. I got changed dialogue after talking to the old woman about home. Having done all I could, I was just about ready to head back. Whoa! Interesting, and it erased all my choices from before. So, Black Tent was Noel, the child was Surin, And then this is presumably Toya. But for Esta, we notice a suspicious man looking this way. Right, because... that's right. Noel asked Esta to start, like, following her way back when. So that's how this starts. She notices that he's following her. Okay. Very interesting. Well, here we branch. Let's go. Walkthrough is gone. As I looked around for the last time, my gaze collided with a suspicious-looking man. Though I couldn't see his whole figure due to his deep cloak, he looked somewhat different from a normal person. His strangely glazed eyes peeking out from under the cloak and his insidious smile were eerie. When I flinched, he lifted the corner of his mouth and approached me as if he had been waiting for me. That doesn't sound like Esta. Who is this? Should I run away? As I took a step backwards, my back came into contact with something. Thinking I had bumped into a passerby, I was going to apologize. And that's Esta. Okay, so the person approaching her is not Esta, but Esta was right behind her. Interesting. So she didn't notice Esta, she noticed some other shady looking guy. Oh! Suddenly my brain just like clicked everything that's going on. Shady looking guy was going to approach her and then Esta stepped out to be like, I will protect you. I understand. You put a lot at risk by coming out here to protect her. Just saying. I mean, not that she's gonna make a connection between you and Noel, but still, I'm just like, whoa, okay. Coming out of the shadows, eh?
My apologies for making you wait.
Huh? I was surprised to get a response I hadn't expected. Turning around, I saw a strange man. Although he had a well-defined face, he gave the impression of being fake, perhaps because of the expressionlessness of his face. In addition, his black-robed appearance was somehow reminiscent of darkness itself. In other words, he didn't look like a human being. Oh, you are...
My apologies for being late for the meeting time.
Huh?
Your anger is quite justified. You may berate me however you like.
My questions were continually interrupted. From the way that the man spoke, it felt like we'd had a plan to meet up. What's the meaning of this? Apparently, the man didn't want me to speak. I looked at him questioningly, and the man narrowed his eyes, expressionless.
Play along.
Yes, that. Maybe I should follow his lead. Both guys look suspicious. Honestly, in this moment, this is a very true fact, but we know this guy's a bean, so we shall follow his lead. Hey, there we go. This is so cool that we're having like a completely different meeting with him and everything. So does that mean when Shalu gets kidnapped, we don't go with Noel? That could play out real interestingly. In this situation, it might be best to follow his lead. I'm not sure what they're after, so I should be wary of both. And yet, the reason why the new man seems harmless is because there isn't a shred of interest in his eyes as he gazes at me. I could tell the difference because of the glare in the other man's eyes. He's not interested, but he went out of his way to speak to me and put on this performance. Perhaps the actions he's taking now are not of his own volition. From his servant-like tone at our encounter, I could guess that he was in the service of someone else. Naala, you so smart. If his objective is to prevent contact between me and other men, maybe he's one of Surin's subordinates? That's a reasonable conclusion to make, but wrong guy. If that's the case, if this grinning man is just trying to hit on me, it's still a troublesome situation. I'm not Surin's woman, but I don't want to hear the moaning and groaning either. That's interesting. Like, what do you mean the moaning and the groaning? Girl, what are you thinking? After considering several possibilities, I concluded that it would be safer to go with the man in black. The man in black! Let's go! If things get worse after driving one of them away, I can just run away at full speed. I would like to see you outrun Esta. I won't berate you, but you were late. I got tired of waiting for you. Immediately after following his lead, I heard a tongue click that he had zero intention of hiding. The words, "You're in my way," were written plainly on his face, distorted with hatred. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm glad I followed his lead. I wouldn't have been able to handle it if he'd done something to me. The creepiness mixed with the harmfulness is horrifying. As I leaned towards the man in black, with a bit of fear, the other man's cloak fluttered and he disappeared into the crowd. Thank goodness. I realized that I was getting too close, so I took a step away. The threat is gone for the time being, but there's no guarantee that this other man is safe. I readied myself without hiding my alarm. The man spoke in a plain voice with no intonation.
I am not your enemy.
You just show up out of nowhere and say you're on my side?
I don't think the expression "on my side" is appropriate, but rest assured that I have no plans to harm you at this time.
No plans?
As my master has not ordered such.
Not just his face, but his manner of speaking isn't quite human. He's like a puppet that moves when ordered. Even though he's not as creepy as the other man, I frowned as I couldn't read his emotions from his iron-like face. Why did you protect me?
Because my master ordered me to do so.
What does your master want?
Your protection.
I'm asking why he wants to protect me.
I do not have the right to answer that.
I've never seen anyone murder their own individuality so thoroughly. Dang. It's not as if he's trying to hide his emotions, but as if the emotions themselves were missing, and he could convey no inner turmoil. I was more surprised than angry at the lack of response. For the time being, it does seem like he doesn't intend to harm me. Let me get this straight. Your master and that man have different objectives, right?
Yes.
Another short reply. If so, I'll try to get answers through guided cross-examination. Objection! Alright, Ace Attorney this. Naala, do it for me. What's the difference?
My master doesn't sell people.
That guy was a human seller?
As you were troubled, he would offer to sell you information and then take you away.
I see. So my instincts were correct that the man was dangerous. While wiping away the cold sweat that was slowly forming on my face, I asked the man in front of me with a bit of gratitude. May I ask your name?
My name is Esta.
Esta. Is your master Surin?
No. My master is the political assistant, Lord Noel.
Noel?
Yes. I serve as his lead chamberlain and secretary.
He hasn't given up on having me marry Toya yet. Well, I didn't expect that Noel would easily give up on anything. Even so, this man... Now that you mention it... Me? His facial features are similar to those of Noel. Yes, we did find out. They are in fact from the same country. His white skin and golden hair show that he had the blood of the same country as Noel. I wonder if he keeps them around because they're from the same country. As I became calmer, I became interested in Esta. Nice. Do you always suppress your presence like this? Not just emotions, but I can't really sense anything from him, even with him standing in front of me like this. That may be the main reason for the impression of nothing I have of Esta.
My apologies. Perhaps it's something of a habit.
The moment he apologized, I could sense the presence of a person standing there, albeit thin. He must be pretty skilled to be able to suppress his presence to this extent. As someone who has learned about swords and bows in one way or another, I can understand just how good Esta is. That's probably why the other man backed off. The man in the cloak must have been someone with some martial arts knowledge, so he noticed and left. That's interesting. I hate to think that I've been helped out by Noel's orders, but that's definitely better than being sold. Once again, I breathed a sigh of relief that I hadn't followed that man. Thank you, Esta. You've been a great help. Even if he was from the enemy country, it was true that he helped me, so I wanted to thank him. However, Esta shook his head without smiling.
You do not need to thank me. I only followed Lord Noel's orders.
Maybe so, but due to Toya's selection law, men in Nasla are basically friendly to women. Everyone is desperate to be chosen. That's why I found Esta's curt mannerisms refreshing. You don't like being thanked? I don't think I asked a difficult question, but Esta was strangely silent for a long time. I waited for a few seconds with a question mark in my mind. The gaze that had been thoughtfully diverted came back.
It's not that I don't like it, I just don't feel the need for it.
Why?
It was Lord Noel who ordered me. Therefore, if you are thankful, that should be directed to Lord Noel.
But you're still the one who helped me, so I want to thank you. I was just expressing my gratitude, but for some reason Esta looked surprised. But it was only for a moment, and soon his face returned to its original expressionless state. Did I say something strange?
No. Well then, I shall take my leave.
To borrow Esta's expression from earlier, he decided that he didn't feel the need for further conversation. Dang, girl! Esta started walking as silently as he had appeared. I was looking in the direction that Esta left in, but perhaps because he's so good at concealing himself, I soon lost sight of him. Maybe it's because of the lack of other responses, but that momentary look of surprise on his face left a strong impression on me. Same girl, same. Okay, we back? We're back. Cool. Alright. Well, I will skip ahead until Shalu is, in trouble. See you soon. Well, we have arrived at the night that, Shalu got caught. And we have a new voice calling out to interrupt the platoon commander that was going to marry Naala. Could it be our boy?
Please wait.
I heard a familiar voice from among the crowd, and I slowly recognized who it came from. That person, who as usual showed no signs of life, remained expressionless even in this situation. Dang. I mean, it would kind of make sense he was watching her that night. Are we gonna end up married to this boy? Because I'm, like, okay with it. Esta took one look at me in captivity and turned to the man with a quiet gesture. There was a modest buzz, perhaps because of his emotionless manner, or perhaps because the men were in awe.
What's going on?
Sir, that woman was trying to escape, and this woman here has offered herself up for the trio rule.
Looking at the man, who was shrinking back, I realized something. The fact that this man speaks respectfully means that Esta has a higher status than this military platoon leader? I guess that would make sense. I heard that he was Noel's servant, but his role might be different from that of a mere servant. Looking over at him, his expression was unmoving, like a puppet. I think this is a fairly urgent matter, but even after having a grasp of the situation, Esta's expression remains unchanged. His glass-like eyes stared at me for a while. Then, just as everyone was beginning to lose patience with the heavy silence, a voice suddenly and clearly spoke out. Yo, we're getting married to this boy! Let's go! This is the best day ever! Esta! I do have a question, though. Like, you're very smart, very observant. I feel like you would probably know that Toya, like, the goal of Noel, Noel's goals? Noel's goal was to marry her to Toya. So you doing this, like, are you doing this knowingly or unknowingly is my big question at this moment. I'm okay with it. I'm just curious.
Understood. I will marry this woman.
What?
What?
Everyone in the room froze in surprise. Only the man who was holding me managed to speak awkwardly after a few seconds.
But you are... Oh, my apologies.
A glance from Esta shut him down. It is not an exaggeration to say that he was afraid. Just who is Esta? He's Jason Bourne. I can feel the air having become more tense since Esta's arrival. A servant of a noble person would have the appropriate authority, but the men's reactions made me feel that this was beyond the scope of a mere servant.
As there does not seem to be a problem, I would like you to hand her over to me.
Yes, sir.
He approached, despite the crowd's agitation. Upon arriving in front of me, he sent my captor away with a glance.
Are you unharmed?
Yes.
Then, please marry me.
Has there ever been a more uninspiring, tasteless dialogue of courtship than this? Girl, I want to hear it from you. Look, he came to your rescue and was very to the point. I don't know if it's that uninspiring, really. Maybe I just have low standards. I don't know. I'm okay with it. It's as casual as asking for a chicken at a butcher's shop. Surely I would not say, yes, I will. I would like the chicken. I was more stunned than exasperated and stood frozen with my mouth agape.
What's the matter?
What's the matter?
I believe this is the best choice for you, given the current circumstances.
Why do you say so?
I am not going to hurt you.
Surely, Esta doesn't seem to be interested in women. In order to protect Shalu, I have to marry someone. But is it really okay to get married to Esta like this? Besides, Esta is Noel's subordinate. Even if he has no evil intentions, getting married to him might make me Noel's pawn. Tell me why you want to marry me. When I asked a question, another unreadable silence fell. As I waited, puzzled, Esta put his lips next to my ear. He spoke in a very small voice that others around couldn't hear.
I have been ordered to keep an eye out for you. You, who are the king's sister.
So that's...
Therefore, rather than let someone else marry you, it's better for me to marry you so that I can carry out my orders. Given your status, it would be better for you to be with someone else. However, if we leave this to Lord Surin, I may not be able to get in contact with you. Also, with Lord Toya, you might have to perform the first night ceremony right away. As for Lord Noel, I don't believe he would ever propose. And even if he did, he might cause mental and emotional damage so severe that you'd never be able to stand again.
Whoa! Wow! Threw Noel under the bus right from the get-go. Interesting. So interesting. He's like, not only do I believe he wouldn't propose, but like, it wouldn't be good. So the whole time she was with him, you had like all these misgivings going on? No wonder you were like pleasantly surprised when you were like, it looked like you loved him and were happy and stuff was like the last thing I saw. And then my worst fears became realized. How interesting. What have you watched Noel do over the years? I'm terrified. Anyway. Those sounds like good reasons for me. I'm even more sold than I was after the chicken proposal, to be honest.
Which is why I will marry you.
It was a proposal that totally lacked passion, but I could understand his intentions, at least. But there's still one thing I didn't understand. Okay, I get that you want to protect me, and I know that's your objective, but why are you going this far to do so? Perhaps Esta's silence is a reaction to being in trouble. This thought occurred to me as I looked at the unusual wrinkle between his eyebrows.
Harming you, the representative, will spread unrest among the other women. In the long run, it will be a burden to my master.
Esta nodded slightly, as if he was also convincing himself. Okay. The story makes sense, and so far there seems to be no major contradictions. If so, this might be safer than being married to another man. This is just my impression from our short interactions, but Esta doesn't seem to be interested in women. I mean, he hasn't shown a lot of emotions up to this point, so can you really say that for sure? If this intuition is correct, it would be a far better choice than being someone's outlet for desire. Shalu. A flailing, rampaging figure appears out of the corner of my eye. Quiet over there! I want to avoid any harm coming to Shalu, no matter what it takes. Alright. I've made up my mind again. With the strength to shake off my fear, I opened my mouth. Understood. I will marry you, Esta. Naala!
Then, please be my bride.
Yes. The stiff exchange of words is still very contractual. Even though it was my own decision, I was a little saddened to think that this was the beginning of my first and last marriage. Oh girl, you haven't even heard all the nonsense with the marriage laws and stuff. Just you wait. But I appreciate the optimism and... What's the opposite of optimism again? All that's coming to mind is depression. Optimism, realism, and... What's the other ism? Gosh, gonna make me Google what the opposite of optimism is. I feel so dumb. Opposite of optimism. A similar and opposite word is opposite. Pessimism. That's the one. I like the optimism and the pessimism, even if I can't remember pessimism. Anyway, moving on. No! Let go of me! Naala! Naala! Shalu was dragged off by the men. She continued to struggle even as they faded out of sight. At that rate, they might sling her over their shoulders and carry her back to the residence. Probably. I could feel the pain of Shalu's feelings in my chest, but for now I had to push those feelings out of my consciousness.
Let's depart. If we stay, Lord Surin will get word of this.
Right. I'm Esta's wife. I'm going to be the wife of a man I've only met once. He made an impression that one time. Where are we going to live? Are we living here? Probably not at the safe house, right? Even if I'm prepared for it, there is no end to my anxiety. I don't think he's going to suddenly force himself upon me, so this is okay. Probably. As I stared at his back in front of me, as if probing, Esta, who seemed to have noticed my gaze, turned and stopped. Apparently, Esta is sensitive to the flow of air and a person's gaze.
What's wrong?
I was just wondering where we're going.
To the castle.
Huh? That's it? To the castle to do what?
First I shall report to Lord Noel.
Right.
Yes.
The conversation ended again, leaving me disappointed. I guess he doesn't want to say anything more than is absolutely necessary. But he does answer properly when asked. I don't think he's going to hit me, so even if we have to do the first night ceremony, I don't think I'll end up dead. Was that a real consideration that you had in any of the other routes? I'm trying to remember now. I don't think so. I could be wrong. If you guys remember her being like, I could end up dead tonight after marriage. It's interesting that she thinks that here. I ended up marrying Esta due to the process of elimination. It was the best choice I could think of on the spot. Probably. Believing this, I solemnly proceeded behind his silent back. Alright, so this is where you live. This is like your room in the castle. Cool.
It's quite rare for you to make a mistake.
Upon arriving at the castle, Noel, who had heard the commotion, was waiting for us. Sarcasm has been flying about ever since I entered Esta's room. Noel? And sarcasm? In the same room? Huh? Since when? Esta just silently accepted it.
Why did you not call for Lord Toya immediately? If you had, he would have taken pity on her and married her.
That is what I'm surprised about as well.
My apologies.
Apparently, Noel is dissatisfied with Esta's judgment. I'm confused. I mean, I know his reason was like, you'd have to do the first night ceremony immediately, but like, what concern is that of you? Isn't that good for Noel? Noel's plans? No? So interesting. Despite acting in his master's best interest, he's getting chewed out for it. He may be the enemy, but I felt a little bad for him. Noel wanted me to marry Toya. I feel bad for Esta, but getting married to him was the right choice after all. She's like, as long as I can get back at Noel by not marrying Toya, I'm fine with it. For my part, I was able to avoid a situation that would have shackled Roos, and I was also able to foil Noel's plan, so it worked out in the end, even though it was just a matter of chance. However, I felt uncomfortable as Esta faced a relentless wall of sarcasm.
Well, what's done is done. Let us be thankful that at least she did not end up in the clutches of that barbarian.
As I was wondering if I should intervene, Noel changed the subject. I breathed a sigh of relief, but his next words put me right back into the frying pan. Yeah, I'm like, I guess Noel's first main priority now is going to be, like, get Naala pregnant, so that way she's, like, up for grabs again, and can go back to being, like, up for marriage with Toya once again. That's probably going to be his priority. But from the sounds of it, Esta has no intentions of doing that right away. But now he's been given an order to do it, so now what's going to happen? Depends what Noel says after this line. Because he didn't give him a time limit. He just said, be sure to do it. He didn't say tonight, so technically, as long as it's done at some point. He didn't go against orders, right? Well, Noel be smart enough to think about that. Let's find out.
All right. Esta, do be sure to complete the first night ceremony. What's wrong? You've been married, so the first night is only natural.
Noel is most definitely enjoying the situation. I grinded my back teeth, just in time to see the amused look on his face. At least he hasn't asked to watch. Yet.
Understood.
When I saw Esta bow in acknowledgement, I felt a rush of frustration all at once. I should have been prepared for this. I'd asked for this, but it seems I wasn't quite as prepared as I'd thought. Now that the situation has been forced, my hands tremble, though I feel ashamed of it.
Well then, I shall leave the rest to you.
Yes.
Noel glanced at me as he said he would leave things to Esta. It seems the idea that Esta might disobey his orders never once crossed his mind. The thumping sound of his shoes echoed as he left at a leisurely pace. Being alone with Esta, awkward silence filled the room. I pondered, puzzled, whether I should sit down somewhere or if I should go to the bed. My cheeks flushed as I saw the neatly arranged bed. Well, things won't change if I keep on waiting around like this. I have to take the plunge and move on. It was time to summon up my courage to take a step forward. Suddenly, Esta straightened his posture and turned to face me. My shoulders shivered as I was alert and afraid. I held myself down with both hands and looked down. But he's going to catch on that I'm scared. A smile of self-mockery came to my face at my own inadequacy. But what I heard afterwards was not mockery, but...
I will not perform the first night ceremony.
What? But...
Please don't worry.
What's he getting at? Esta said after helping me in the market that it was Noel's orders. There is no doubt that his master's existence is of utmost importance to Esta, as even his choice of wife was for his master. Given those facts, this proposal seemed unnatural. You're going to disobey Noel's orders?
As I said earlier, if your body and mind weaken, it will affect the other women as well. That would not be good for my master.
But how will you fake it?
I shall get animal blood. I can get it from the kitchen, so I will make arrangements at night.
He indicated the mattress with his eyes, so I gave a wry smile. Good on you, man. You kept your word to your wife. I appreciate that. He also knows the implications of, like, if I get her pregnant, so... I wonder if Esta has, like, a master plan of his own at all going on in the background. That'd be interesting. In other words, we'd leave behind the proof of me having lost virginity. I see.
Lord Noel would never think that I would disobey his orders. If you stay silent, it will not come to light.
You mean we'll line up our stories?
Yes.
Of course, I have zero intentions of jumping into the fire. Besides, if we keep the secret, Esta wouldn't get chewed out as well. Esta's the one who helped me out in the first place. I don't want to see him be punished. But I still don't quite get it. His master is his priority, but he's helping me at the risk of being punished. He looks serious, but he can be devious. It's getting harder and harder for me to figure out just who Esta is. But he's definitely not doing this for me, right? Why are you going this far? I stared at Esta while waiting for an answer. I noticed that his eyes were shaking slightly. Was he remembering something? People's eyes move as they recall the past. The slight sway of Esta's gaze reminded me of that. Esta? Responding to my call, he focused on me. For a brief moment, it seemed as if an inner feeling of indescribable complexity was blurring the surface of his face, but he quickly returned to an expression that showed no emotion.
Everything is for my master. There is no other reason.
Right. Well, I've been saved at any rate. Some of the reasons are unclear, and there is still some confusion about Esta. Despite that, I was genuinely grateful that I didn't have to do the ceremony. I've escaped for today, and managed to buy some time at least. My initial concerns were dispelled and my shoulders relaxed. Perhaps it was because I had been under a lot of strain, but I felt exhausted.
You should go to bed.
Huh?
Please use that bed. I will be going out for work.
Esta, sensing my fatigue, advised me to rest on the bed. I really wanted to do that, but I got caught on the latter part of his statement. Work? From now?
Yes.
Work? In the middle of the night? Could this be a trap to catch me off guard? Perhaps he would make me let my guard down, then do something to me in my sleep. After all, Esta is a Nasla man. I'd let myself relax, but I tensed up once more. Then, perhaps wondering what my stiffened expression meant, Esta took a long, thinking posture. What is he thinking this time? This silence didn't last that long. Esta searched his own breast pocket and then offered his fist to me.
Here you are.
Without knowing what's in his fist, I caught it with both hands. The feel of metal lay on my palm. A key?
Yes.
To where?
To my heart. I mean...
Sorry. I couldn't resist. I'll behave. I'm sorry.
There is only one key to this room, so please lock up before you go to sleep.
But if there's only one, you won't be able to come in.
Do not worry about that.
You won't be back until the morning?
I do not know.
Then shouldn't you take it?
It's not a problem. Well then, I'll be going.
He can probably come in through the window, or lockpick into his own room. That's nice, though. He gave her the key. Oh, okay. Take care. Esta bowed lightly and quickly left the room. Ultimately, I couldn't ask why it was not a problem. The energy left my body as I heard the sound of the door closing. The thread of tension broke as soon as I was alone. I'm exhausted. My head and body could not keep up with the drastically changing environment in one day, so it complained of fatigue. I felt like I could even sleep on the floor if I closed my eyes. Anyway, let's lie down. I looked around the room to get ready for sleep and went to lock the door first. I put my finger on the door handle and hesitated for a moment. I wonder how Esta's gonna get in. If I believe what Esta said, this is the only key. I can't really figure out how he'd get in without me letting him in. There are windows, but they're too high for getting in and out. Maybe he's saying to trust him because he's not going to try and take me. Maybe this means that the inside of the castle is also dangerous. I mean, it very well could be. But I think this is what he was trying to tell you. There we go. Maybe he's saying to trust him because he's not going to try and take me. I also just realized he's still stuck on my screen even though he's like left like 5 minutes ago. Esta, take your soul with you. If so, that's a very roundabout way to say that. I puzzled over it, but I still couldn't find any other reason. I don't really know Esta in the first place, so I couldn't possibly get what he's thinking. I'll just ask him about himself directly when he comes back tomorrow. To plan a strategy, you must first know the enemy. With a sense of determination, I turned off the lights and went to bed, feeling like I'm about to go into battle. Oh no, I might not be able to sleep in this excited state. I might not be able... Which is what I thought before I yawned. Before I could marvel at my brazenness, my exhausted body fell asleep.